From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports season. Wally, once again, Major League Baseball front and center on this episode of 10K Takes Television because the Minnesota Twins are they're hot. And they're trying to pull away from the very mediocre competition in the AL Central after your Cleveland Guardians have waved a white flag and basically given up. Yeah. No mas. And then Detroit, Kansas City, the Chicago White Sox, those are
status non gratis.
Those are teams that need a FEMA aid.
Yeah, they're
disasters.
Exactly. They're dumpster fires. And Cleveland chose not to compete despite the fact they were a half game out at the trade deadline. And they've gone right down the tubes. You know, you trade away your...
At least they're going down swinging.
Yes, literally.
The knockout of Tim Anderson.
Yeah, well, Tim Anderson got a little bit longer suspension than Jose did, and well, he should have.
And those teams don't play again this year. I did check on the schedule.
The next time they play, opening day in Cleveland next year. Don't think that the Tim Anderson haters won't be out.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be roundly booed. Will there be any Garden fans there, though? After they've given up on a season.
Yeah, well, they told their fans 2024, so there might not be anybody the rest of this year. But the Twins have the opportunity to just run away with it now. I think that, you know, even if they play 500 ball from here on out, I think they're going to be just fine. They have the fourth easiest schedule down the stretch here of any team in Major League Baseball. So they've gotten through a lot of the tough parts. They caught Arizona at the right time. Arizona was leading the National League West for a long time. And, you know, they have kind of cratered here over the last few weeks. And now, if they can just, as I said, play 500 baseball down the stretch, continue to get Kenta Maeda pitching well. Sonny Gray got his first win in, 3.5 months. And they need Bailey Ober to keep going. And I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Ryan. Now they got Dallas Keuchel in the mix. So
I think
hopefully he can add
they've
something.
got to fix Joe Ryan, or Joe Ryan has to fix Joe Ryan, or a combination thereof. They've got to get him back to being the April and May Joe Ryan, where he was 7-1 and right up there with the top pitchers in Major League Baseball. So if you're a Twins fan, I think that's wish list number one. Byron Buxton, do you get him back in the lineup at all? I mean, injured list, paternity list, and we know about what happens with Byron on a yearly basis, but still chances for him to get back in the lineup and positively contribute to this baseball team. I think Max Kepler has gotten better. I mean, he slowly had that average creeping up. He's showing some power. The team right now should be focused on just continuing to win and stacking up as much positive mojo as they can, presumably heading into October, so they can line up and look at whoever they face and say, you know what, we can beat these guys. Because right now they're still looked at as a slightly above average team that leads a bad division. But they can change that narrative.
Well, and in baseball, which is why as a Cleveland follower, I was shaking my head. Man, you get into a short series, it's baseball. You know, you can beat anybody in a short series. A weekend series, you can win 2 out of 3 from anybody. And that's what the first round of the playoffs are going to be. So the Twins are going to get a best of 3 series at home, oh, by the way, against, one of the wild card teams, should they continue on this track. So, so they win the division, the best 2 out of 3. They can beat anybody in the American League in 2 out of 3.
And I know these are different sports, but I would throw out the Miami Heat. I would throw out the Florida Panthers, your NBA and NHL teams that both went to their respective finals and almost won titles. And these were low seeds, not expected to do anything. So if you can punch a playoff ticket,
absolutely,
and you get the pitching you're almost going to certainly have to have in October, and that's not just your starters, it goes all the way through the bullpen to your closer, you have a chance. But the main thing for the Twins is they got to win a playoff game.
Yeah, well,
presumably they better win game number 1.
Yeah. 2 things that I think before we close out this segment with regard to the Twins. A, I'd like to see Matt Wallner playing every day. I think he has shown that he can hit both lefties and righties. We know he's got a cannon for an arm out in the outfield. No reason to not be playing him every day. So Rocco, get that done, please. And 2, take time away from Joey Gallo. I'm so through with watching Joey Gallo strike out 3 times a game. Yeah, he's hit, 16, 17 home runs. That's fine, but he strikes out so much, leaves so many guys out there. It's just not worth it. He doesn't put the ball in play. Nothing happens when you strike out. Nothing good happens when you strike out.
I would say this. When you face some of these top-tier teams, down the stretch here, even if you've got this division practically wrapped up, which they don't yet. I want to emphasize they're not even close to that. But when you see Texas, they haven't played Texas yet. When the LA Angels come to Minnesota, compete against these teams and win some series. Establish your own confidence that you can line up with these, top flight teams and beat them.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we are really going to shift gears in our next segment.
It's time to get out on the lake. We're going to talk water skiing. All that and more coming up on 10K Takes, your Twins ticket.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
It's the heat of summer, 10,000 takes, and on some of Minnesota's 10,000 lakes, you might see our next guest because she and her group of water skiers from the Bald Eagle water ski shows makes regular appearances all over the state of Minnesota, and she is Kristi Jacobson. Kristi, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the Bald Eagle water ski shows, where you go, and how long you guys have been doing this.
Yeah, our team is the longest standing water ski show team in the state of Minnesota. It's been around since 1950. We perform shows weekly on our home show site on Centerville Lake, which is real close. It's in the North Metro, real close to Lino Lakes. Every Thursday from mid-June till mid-August. And then we travel. We do travel shows around the state of Minnesota throughout the summer. So on the weekends, we pack it all up. We head up to Bemidji, Detroit Lakes, Glenwood, and then our last travel show this year will be in Chisago Lakes.
Yeah, and this is really quite the H2O show. I saw your team perform a few weeks ago on Centerville Lake in the North Metro. And what I'm amazed by is the age range. It runs the gamut. 5-year-old skiers all the way up to 55. So you have everything in between, don't you?
We have everything in between. I think our youngest skier this year is 5, and our oldest, Jimmy, I don't think he'll mind if I share. I won't tell you my age, but Jimmy is 58. He's been on the team performing for 54 years. So multi-generational. We have some 3rd-generation team members this year, actually, on the team. And it's just a long history. It's whole families that are part of it, and cousins and aunts and uncles, and it's just a lot of fun.
So when folks show up to watch one of these shows, if they showed up at Centerville Lake, what can they expect to see?
Well, they're gonna have a lot of fun. We have the kids out there doing kind of an exhibition show before we do the actual more not choreographed but really planned show. So we have some exhibition skiing at the beginning, and then we've got high-speed pyramid at the beginning with a jumper on the side going off the jump. We've got ballet skiers, swivel skiers. We've got all-female pyramid. We've got a wakeboarder and kneeboarders. We got a bit of everything. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and it's almost like the Globetrotters on water. I mean, there's some shtick. I know there's a circus theme that you guys try to incorporate, but there's also so much skill and ability involved. Break down the pyramid, because you're talking about, a a front line, then somebody on their back, and then somebody on their back, and then they're all skiing upright in the water.
It is. It's kind of, it's a mix of skill and strength and balance and just practice, I would say. Our team works together for about 6 months of the year. We start practicing pyramid building up and coming back down safely in the gym in the wintertime. So we get together starting in February and we are working on those skills on a hard floor. And then once the water warms up in May, we head out on the water and start building. But yeah, it's a trick. Coming down is actually harder than going up.
Dryland training for water skiing. Who would have thought? So how does a person like you, for example, how do you get started doing something like this?
Well, I am one of the new ones to the team. So I just joined a couple years ago. It was something that I had dreamed of doing ever since I saw a water ski show in Florida when I was a kid and just thought, oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun. And I hadn't skied. I really didn't grow up skiing much. My aunt and uncle taught me, and I got to do it one weekend a year as a kid. But a couple years ago, I reached out to the team on Facebook and just said, hey, what would it take? Do I have to try out? They said, no, bring your life jacket. Come and meet us on Tuesday night. And the first night I came down there, the whole team was out on the dock. Everybody's doing stuff. And one of our team members that's been on team over 30 years, Dean, said, what do you want to do, Kristi? I said, I don't even know. What can I do? He said, hop on my shoulders. We're going to do doubles. We took off the dock. We did doubles that very first run, and I was hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really a slice of Americana. I mean, it's good, clean, wholesome family fun. The show I saw, I mean, you're right there on Centerville Lake. There's a grassy knoll where the people sit. There had to be a couple thousand people there gathering to watch. And the cool thing is it's free. So all you have to do is show up and you can watch it. There's no expense.
Yeah, it is. We have expenses for the team, but for the folks who come to watch it, it's a great way to get your family out on a Thursday night or in our travel shows or on the weekends to come and watch a free show. And it is just, it's so Midwestern. It's so Minnesotan to be out on a lake with your family and enjoy it. But there's music. And like you said, there's the comedy piece of it. There's kind of a story that we're telling this year. It's that we're the circus, but there's just so much energy and fun. And I love that we can put the shows on for free. Obviously, we blow through a lot of gas. We got a lot of ropes and skis. And when we're traveling with our boats and trailers and everything, there's expense there. But we have, we love bringing on local sponsors who help support the team. And we get their names out on our Facebook page. We've got over 3,600 followers on Facebook, and we've got followers on Instagram. And so we're able to promote those local sponsors who are so generous with us. So we always appreciate having that support so we can continue to do free shows for the public.
So you just explained how it's paid for. And you talk about the fact that it's a Midwestern thing. Well, it was invented, or so they say, in Lake City, Minnesota, the birthplace of water skiing. Do you guys ever do a show on Lake Pepin?
Oh my gosh, that would be super fun. So last year, our show theme this year, it's a circus. Last year, we were celebrating 100 years of water skiing because it was invented 100 years before. And so we really paid tribute to that for Lake Pepin. And I don't know that the team has ever done a show down there. And honestly, that'd be a really great thing for us to try and get out there to do.
Yeah, maybe I could be your PR guy. Come up with ideas like that.
Well, another idea would be your cat over your right shoulder, who's part of this interview.
I know.
That's
not
okay.
on the team.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Have you ever had a cat or a dog out there on the water? Of course, in a safe way, but that would probably be really wild.
Yeah, and so I'm not a crazy cat lady. I actually have a dog as well. We have a fluffy white poodle, and with the circus theme, I was telling the team, you know what? We should figure out a way to get Lucy on the saucer out on the lake as like a circus dog. She would totally do it. It hasn't worked out so far, but that'd be kind of fun.
All right, what is the most outrageous thing that you guys have done or do in a water ski show, since we're talking about possible antics out on the water? What would you say is something that people would say, wow, that is something?
That's really something. Well, I mean, for us, when you're from the audience, I think a lot of things that we do it looks really easy because the people who are doing it have practiced for so long. But in reality, they're really hard. One of the things that I would say is really dangerous and kind of scary for me, just because I know what goes into it. We do these pre-built pyramids off the dock. So we essentially have this giant metal ladder and we build the pyramid on the dock, and the boat driver has to take off at just the right speed to keep that pyramid in formation off the dock and straight onto the water. I would say that's one that always, I just hold my breath. Another one that's really fun, this year we had one of our younger members, Tyler, on a disc with a stool. He's out there on the water, climbs up on the stool and is standing on the stool. So that's pretty fun. But our jumpers are really what the crowd just loves. Seeing our jumpers, we have 3-4 jumpers out there at a time. One's doing a heli, one's doing a front flip, one's doing a back flip. They're all going off the jump together. Sometimes there's somebody crossing underneath. That's pretty crazy.
Quick final thought. Would you rather ski on a lake, a river, or the ocean?
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would just say probably the lake. We have nice calm water.
Yeah.
We can find a calm spot on the lake no matter where we're at. And we just have we have so many beautiful lakes to ski on. And we have a really nice one in Centerville. We love being there.
Yeah. Well, for me, it would be a lake, too. I did the ocean once. It's not much fun. It's too difficult. Kristi, thanks so much for coming on the show. Some fun stuff here in the middle of the summer where we can kind of relax and talk about something different, like water skiing. Appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kristi.
All right. She is Kristi Jacobson from the Bald Eagle Water Ski Club here in the Twin Cities. Back with more here on 10,000 Takes after this time out.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
Have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
Yes, your favorite time of year is here. It's time to start talking about college football and the NFL. Let's start out with the colleges because things are going to change significantly in that conference known as the Big Ten. You see that big BIG behind me? That's going to be an 8 very soon, and maybe a Big 20 soon after that. So we had Washington and Oregon. That's a done deal. They're coming in 2024 along with USC and UCLA. And you, Mr. West Coast, think that after that it's going to be Cal and Stanford, huh?
Yeah, I said all along when the Trojans and Bruins made that commitment to leave the Pac-12 for the Big Ten, they're going to need some geographical dance partners. Well, they have them, at least in a Pacific time zone perspective with Washington and Oregon. Also, you get the Seattle-Tacoma TV market. Right. You get the Portland-Eugene TV market. So more eyeballs for the Big Ten, which is truly an ATM machine. They print cash. Now you got to get Stanford and Cal. That's the San Francisco-Oakland television market. I know MLB doesn't care about it. They're going to let the A's go down to Las Vegas, which is like 41st as far as market size. But college football knows, and Stanford's had a ton of success. Cal's been a little up and down, but it's still a premier program. I mean, Aaron Rodgers went there, Jared Goff. They've turned out their share of studs. So I think you got to get those two in as well, and you'll really limit the travel for the West Coast teams. And how exciting for Gopher fans to say, oh, I'm going out to Stanford to see a game, or I'm going to Husky Stadium where they can take a boat up to the venue and watch the Huskies play.
Okay, so what does this mean for the Gophers? And you pointed something out to me the other day that I thought was actually something to think about. If they do go to 20 teams, which seems likely, if not next year, probably the year after that, but I mean, Cal and Stanford have to make a decision because there's only 4 teams left now in the conference.
Trust me, that decision's coming soon.
Yeah, it might come. It might have already come
after we
recorded this show. But with Cal and Stanford coming on potentially, that would be 20. So would you have an East and a West? I mean, you can't just have a 20-team division. You go East and West. Well, geographically, your Gophers are going to be aligned with those teams out on the West Coast. And so does the Big Ten not care? We're going to make the Gopher teams travel to the West Coast and vice versa?
Probably. They'll be like the Timberwolves.
Oh,
I think the other, let's assume Cal and Stanford come in. And by the way, with USC and UCLA, you keep that rivalry afloat.
Right.
Same with Washington, Oregon, and then Cal and Stanford. You put Minnesota in the West, Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe Northwestern, and that will balance it out geographically. Yeah, the Gophers are probably going to go west a lot, but that's just the way it's going to shake out. It's going to be an extremely tough division if that's how this all plays out. But the East is equally as tough with Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, wherever the Badgers go. Not
Rutgers?
Sure yeah, Maryland. Well, at least in hoops.
Yeah. Well, look at it this way, though. If they do it geographically, it would be Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. But Bucky's going to fight that. They're not going to want to be in the West. That would be my guess.
I would think Bucky would, because don't you want to keep these rivalries? Wisconsin, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota,
Maybe.
Minnesota, Iowa. I don't know. They have a lot to concern themselves with the Big Ten. Everything it's happening at warp speed.
Yeah, well, I would think that if you're looking at student athletes, and we're not talking about just football once a week. Of course, that's what this is all predicated on, right? I mean, all this movement is about football, and then the rest of the sports, you just fall into place. But if you're looking at the other sports, I mean, baseball and basketball and everything else, swimming, whatever it is, man, that's a ton of travel.
Well, I would say from the Gopher baseball perspective, they're on the road a ton anyways early because the weather here is just not good, and they have to either play at U.S. Bank Stadium or they go to Florida, they go to Arizona, they go to California and Texas. They always have a couple warm weather trips. So I don't think that changes much. If anything, it raises the profile of baseball teams in the Big Ten. I mean, the North, as we know in college baseball, it's a desert. These teams are at a competitive disadvantage with weather. Nobody goes down to Omaha anymore. I think Nebraska was the last team to do it. But now you're in there with USC and UCLA. I mean, these are programs that take baseball seriously.
Means that the Gophers are going to struggle.
Yeah, maybe they're going to have to start expanding their recruiting footprint.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. We'll talk more about this somewhere down the road when we find out more. Up next, it's Takes of the Day right here on 10,000.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
Have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. But before we go, we'll have takes of the day. And we'll also get into the purple, the Minnesota Vikings, well underway into training camp, counterfeit game number 1 of the preseason, Thursday against the Seattle Seahawks. So it's early, but what can you tell me about the Minnesota Vikings, the defending NFC North champs?
Not a heck of a lot because, as you know, preseason football, nobody plays. It's just a bunch of guys that are trying to make the squad. I mean, it has changed so drastically from years ago. First of all, years ago, they used to play 6 preseason games. Then they moved it down to 5. Now you're down to, 3? Some teams play 4. Cleveland and the Jets will play 4 this year. But as far as knowing something about the Vikings, I mean, I don't know if you know a whole lot until till week 1, really. I mean,
No.
what are you going to learn? I mean, and even in the second and third weeks of the preseason, if they run Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and company out there and Alexander Madison for, I don't know, a couple of series, does that tell you anything at all? I don't think so.
And you already have a book on those guys.
Yeah.
What all you can get out of preseason, counterfeit football, as I call it, is watching the backups compete for jobs.
Yep.
For these guys, it's their Super Bowl because somebody makes a roster based on their performance in these preseason games, and somebody doesn't. And if you don't, but you put something on tape, you might get a job elsewhere. Now, I would say this, weeks 1 and 2 of the regular season are more like the preseason.
Exactly.
You don't really know what you're getting into, and it tends to be mistake-prone where a lot of false starts, a lot of dumb penalties, but everybody's playing on the same equal playing field. So don't make any bets based on preseason records, folks. Don't.
Yeah. I think back in the 60s and 70s in particular, when they were playing 6 preseason games and 14 regular season games, you can kind of look at those 6 preseason games and get a good idea of what your squad's going to look like as far as how good they're going to be. Not now, that's for sure.
All right. Yep. Takes of the day. We're going to find out what your mood is. Are you in give-up guardian mode like your team that you worship? Or are you a demanding diva, angry American? What is it?
Well, I'm going to delve into the Minnesota Twins a little bit here. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. And I'm wondering, maybe you have the answer to this. Does Joey Gallo have pictures incriminating photos of Rocco Baldelli or Derek Falvey or somebody? Why in the world is this guy still on the squad? I know he's a good outfielder, and he can also play first base, but he is the whiff king. I mean, my goodness, on Saturday, they won 12-1. They scored 12 runs. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, banging the ball around the park, except Joey Gallo, struck out 3 times. He's hitting about $174. Look, we've had our time with Joey. Yeah, we got his 16, 17 home runs, whatever it is. It ain't worth it. Bring Trevor Larnach up from St. Paul. Let's be done with Joey. The Yankees got rid of him. The Dodgers got rid of him. Fans there were sick of him. I'm sick of him too. Enough Joey Gallo. Let's move on. Derek Falvey and Rocco.
Probably going to be with the Las Vegas A's next season. He's from Vegas.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's check out the mood meter. Yeah, demanding diva. You want to play general manager. You're dictating what Derek Falvey and Thad Levine should do.
And they should listen for once.
All right, well, you talked about Joey. I'm going to talk about Joe.
Okay.
Because on Saturday night at trendy Target Field, they put Joe Mauer into the Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame. I went to that game, and kudos to the Twins. It was a great ceremony. They had over 34,000 in the house, everybody there to salute Joe Mauer. So here's a guy who now has his number 7 retired by the Twins. He's in the Team Hall of Fame. So if you connect the dots, is that going to be enough to get him into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York? For a while there, I thought he was a bubble guy. I wasn't sure because he was outstanding as a catcher. He won an MVP, he won multiple batting titles, he won Gold Gloves, he did everything you'd want. Then he moved to first base, offensive numbers dropped. He was pretty good with the glove. He learned how to play that position, I'll give him credit. But I wasn't sure it would be enough. But I have a feeling that Joe's going to get in. I think he did enough. He played long enough. He's well-liked. And he's just one of those guys that seems to be good at anything he chooses to do. And they talked about it at the ceremony. I think it was Trevor Plouffe said, yeah, he'd never played ping pong ever. And then he picks up a ping pong battle, and he's the best guy in the Twins clubhouse.
Of course he is.
And remember, this guy had a full ride to Florida State to play quarterback for Bobby Bowden. So I think Joe's going to Cooperstown. I don't know if it's first ballot or not, but we'll leave that up to the know-it-alls, the baseball writers.
No, I think he will get in.
All right, on that note, we got to go. Let's FedEx out our thank yous. One to David Weld, one to Kristi Jacobson and Rocky. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.